Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to January 20th. How we get so lucky? January's just kind of flying by. I can't believe it was Christmas and then it was New Year's and then it's it's flying. It's wonderful. And I've got actually speaking of flying, you can't see this, but I get to look at a bee's butt right in front of me. We've got this lovely plant, this crown of thorns. Um, I'm not going to turn the whole computer around, but those of you on Instagram, you can see the little bee. I have a crown of thorns, very much a flowering plant, and they favor it. And interestingly, they don't seem to go for the pink flowers as much. There are two stingless bees that are currently visiting this sort of creamy, yellowy, maybe a little bit. No, mostly like creamy flower. And it's really, really interesting to watch their preferences and their actions and being willing to receive the contribution from everything and everyone, including the bee and its butt in front of me. So, how does it get any better than that? So this is a space where I get together with you guys periodically live or in replays and just muse out loud. I've always been accused of being a little too talkative, perhaps. So, how does it get even better than that? If it can be a contribution to anyone, then why the heck not? How does it get even better? So, I've got the other video camera up here and then the Instagram one down here. So I'm trying to be a little more on the technical side, sort of, maybe kind of. So how it get better than that? Today's topic is kind of interesting. A friend of mine messaged me yesterday and asked me, so what do you know about the killing energy? I'm like, I know all sorts of things about being willing to be every energy. And actually, maybe I'll go into a little story. See, well, maybe before I do that, ADD brain, I'll give you guys more of a background. Okay, so, on this planet, in this world, most people um, do a whole lot to try to control us. They'll give us their rules, they'll give us their regulations, they'll give us their expectations, their projections. They're saying that, oh my goodness, you have to be nice or play nice. Anybody ever hear that? Play nice. You've got to be nice to other people. So I looked up the word nice for y'all. Let me tell you what it is. If you go to etymology online, you can find a lot about the roots of words, where ideas come from, and it's actually really fascinating. So the word nice comes from the late 13th century, and it comes from, or means, foolish, ignorant, frivolous, and senseless. It comes from the Old French nice, 12th century, careless, clumsy, weak, poor, needy, simple, stupid, silly, foolish, from the Latin necius, meaning ignorant or unaware. Literally, it means not knowing, from not, the root not, and sire, which is to know, like where the word science comes from. The sense development, timid, faint of heart, that kind of thing, right? Nice. And that's what this world tries to tell us to be. That way they control us more. Go back to the one of the musings from a couple of days ago. We spoke about being out of control. Being nice, or being told you have to be a nice girl or a nice boy or a nice person or even a nice doggy. It's a lot about taking you out of your awareness. Um, I love the invitation from Access Consciousness. Well, it's not only Access Consciousness, but that's how I came across this, looking for a deeper what is going on here, not buying things as, well, this is what we've always been told, but actually looking at, what do I know here? That's the invitation that I received when I found Access Consciousness. And I was asked, what do you know here? What is your perspective on this? And if truth always makes you feel lighter and a lie makes you feel more contracted and more heavy, then what are you aware of here? When somebody tries to put a point of view your way, what are you aware of? What's going on there? And so it's really fascinating to me to look at this literal push that we have to be nice. Or in the days before I found Access, there was a lot of positive psychology. No, you must be happy. And these are the things that you have to do to be happy. So it's kind of funny. You literally take, from black to white, from good to bad, from right to wrong, and you eliminate half of what's going on there because you refuse to see anything that's not quote unquote positive. In Access, we've been taught to look at what is. I'm using my dog's squeaky toy under my feet because the socks are short and my and the floor was kind of bothering me. So yeah, it's a squeaky toy. If you hear another squeak, you know where it came from. Anyway, so one of the things that we've done in attempting to be nice, as much as we would like to be nice according to what everybody else tells us, is to begin to cut our knowing off, to cut parts and pieces of us off, to cut what is actually going on off, or our awareness of it actually, because we're trying to fit it into a box of right, good, perfect, and correct, and ever so nice. And as we said, nice is not necessarily what you'd like to be. What if instead you were willing to be kind, you were willing to be aware, you were willing to know what is required to change this situation, what is required for me to be here? And I'll give you an example. So there are times when we are so fixated on being as nice as possible that we cut ourselves off, not wanting to see that someone else may not act the same way we do, may not have the same interests. They may have a perspective of, I'd like to hurt another person, or I'd like to cheat on another person. Usually the people who are so busy accusing you of anything, whatever it is, blaming you for things, they're usually talking about themselves, actually, not about you. But you're so busy trying to prove how nice you are and how you're not whatever it is that they say you are, that you may lose yourself in the process. There are so many energies, and this is a topic that we could speak about for days. And this is just a snippet of a musing and a contribution. So, bear with me here. Or if you have questions, do ask me in the comments or in sending me a message at some point, and we can go more deeply into things because it's pretty fascinating, actually. So in trying to be nice, we disavow, we eliminate, we cut off anything that doesn't fit the profile of what a nice person would be like. So that would include being angry maybe, or being mean if need be, or saying something as it is if need be, or being willing to put up your dukes if need be. The willingness to be whatever energy is required in a situation, to change it, to shift it, to have more ease with it, is very, very important. And one of the things we speak about in some Access Consciousness classes is, if you've got all the spectrum available to you, all the colors of the rainbow with which to paint the masterpiece of your life, you don't eliminate any colors. You don't eliminate any nuances. You don't eliminate things, right? Because all of life, including anger, including hostility, including anything, can come to you with ease and joy and glory if you are willing to be whatever it takes to deal with whatever is going on and not eliminate anything. So many years ago, I was co-facilitating an Access Consciousness Foundation class in Cancun, and it was right before Gary Douglas was facilitating a Choice of Possibilities class then, which is now called a choice for possibilities. In that foundation class that I was co-facilitating with a friend of mine, Yurira Guzman, who's an amazing facilitator, um, there was a group of us. We were going out to lunch, and we were in an area of Cancun that was in a beautiful like resort buildingy thing with swimming pools and everything. It was lovely, had its own little restaurant and its own things. But then as soon as you leave that compound and go out onto the street, there were drunks on the streets, there were homeless people, and then there was the ferry to go to Isla de Mujeres. So there were some restaurants there, but it was just kind of dodgy, would be one way of putting it. It was just not the nicest kind of neighborhood to walk around. Where we were in an enclosed place was awesome. Outside of it, not so good. So we were going to lunch one day at one of the restaurants slash bars that was down the street. We were going out. When you facilitate a foundation class, you tend to be a little more dressed up. You've got more jewels on and whatnot. And I had a nice dress on. I had my little purse. I had my gold jewelry on, and it was like bling. And was very obvious that it was bling. So it was a different kind of space. And there was a group of several of us walking to lunch together. You would think nobody's going to bother a group, right? Cool. Not a big deal in that perspective. So we start walking, and suddenly we hear all of this really loud barking, just angsty barking. And we didn't know what was going on, but we walked closer to where these dogs, this group of dogs, was throwing something in the air. And as we walked closer, we saw that what they were throwing was a little kitten. And I don't take too well to people or animals being assholes. So I actually embodied this quote unquote not nice energy, but kind, because it was what was required at the moment, for the sake of the kitten anyway. And I lowered my barriers. And I wasn't thinking about it. It was just choosing. I will be whatever energy is required in this moment to deal with whatever's going on in this situation. And I be this energy of, you fuck with me and you die, motherfucker. And it was that energy, and excuse my French, but it was that kind of energy around these dogs. And the dogs dropped the kitten and just ran off. And I didn't hit them. I was just this, and I yelled at them. And there was just so much force of this energy that came with that shout. I suppose they just ran off and dispersed, because it wasn't the shouting. I was being a different energy. The energy that we are willing to be speaks louder than words or shouts or anything else. Our willingness to be whatever is required in the moment is huge if we're willing to be that. So I was willing to be this energy. They dropped the kitten. The kitten wasn't like, other than being very slobbered, it wasn't like cut or bitten. It wasn't taken apart or anything yet. And a little boy came up to me. The people that were sitting in the open veranda and the hamacas, their eyes nearly popped out of their head just looking at me. The rest of the group that I was walking with didn't come closer. They said, we're just going to keep walking to the restaurant. We're not getting involved. We're just going to the restaurant. And I stayed with this kitten. A little boy came up and said, I know where this kitten came from. And I said, okay, do you have like a towel or anything that we can pick this little kitten up with and curl it in? And he did. And he brought a little cloth. So I picked up the kitten. I knew I needed to go meet with my friends, but I picked up the kitten and I began running a body process, which used to be in the foundation class years ago. Now it is in the 3-day body class, or if you choose to find a body process facilitator. I'm a body process facilitator. There are lots of others who facilitate individual body processes. There's no prerequisite. And you learn skills and energies and possibilities that are absolutely phenomenal for your body, other people's bodies, etc. So in this case, the kitten I held, and I ran this process called MTVSS on the kitten. And I was holding it and running this energy that would contribute to its body. And then I asked the little boy to hold the kitten to him. And I was running this process for just a few minutes. It was not a super long process. I was just running this energy on the little kitten that the boy was holding. And he looked at me wide-eyed and was just willing to do whatever it took to contribute to this little being, this little cat body. And other people were shocked. Nobody else came up except this little boy, which is something that I love about children. Until we educate them to hate, they're actually really amazingly willing to be present, to be aware, to choose beyond what they've seen around if they sense that there's a different possibility available. And he sensed, and my willing to be whatever energy was required to change the situation, he sensed something different. Anyway, he said he would put the kitten back after he would run this for a few minutes. I was there for a bit. All my friends were long gone and already seated at the restaurant, most likely. And then after I was leaving, I had to walk through, I think it was like 4 blocks of walking in heels and a dress and gold jewelry amongst people who were dodgy, to say the least, some drunk, some definitely not well off, not the kind of people that you'd want to walk around in the clothing that I was wearing alone, right? The thing is, when you are willing to be whatever it takes to create a change, there is a strength of you that's available that people can't necessarily put a finger on, but it is an energy that changes the dynamic, that ripples forth. And when I walked through those few blocks to get to the restaurant, you could say it was almost like I was on this high. It wasn't that it was on this high, it was that I was willing to be this huge energy, this potency, this you do not fuck with me kind of an energy that just pushed its way out. People who were crowded in front of me without me saying a word, moved aside. And it was like the Red Sea parting, you could say, if you want to make it funny. But there was just like, oh, that I'm just moving away from. And they did. And I walked, nobody bothered me. Nobody tried to take my purse or my jewelry or my nothing away, because I was this bigness, this aggressive presence, this willingness to be myself. That too is kindness to yourself. Not cutting anything off, not going, oh my God, they're going to hurt me, but actually being willing to be whatever energy is required, not jumping into any projection of anybody. No, just being yourself. When you are being yourself, when you are being whatever energy that's required, whatever it is that you know you can be, and it isn't a thinking, it's just a being, and it's a choosing it. I got to the restaurant, and only once I got there did I just go, what the hell did I just do? What was that? Oh my God. And then I went into my head. But when we don't go into our heads, when we don't go into thinking and all of the points of view about what does this mean and what do they expect from me? And oh my God, I walked alone on the street with heels and dripping with jewelry, and and we go into doubting, we go into fearing, we go into placating other people, and that they expect us to be victims. A lot of what's going on the world stage nowadays is a lot of people asking and expecting for Jews and for Israelis to play victim rather than to be the potency of whatever energy is required. Not to make this political, but I am wearing this. Which is 106 days since our hostages were taken on October 7th. When you do whatever is required, that's not nice by this world standard. Remember the definition that I read of what is nice? But it is being kind. It is being whatever energy is required to change whatever situation. So when I went to my head and to trying to please everybody else, I kind of lost it. I certainly freaked out a bit. Anybody ever been there, done that? But when I was just being, there was nothing else that was required. It was this knowing that I know. It was something entirely different. So, what energy, space, consciousness can you and your body be to perceive, to know, to be, and to receive the true caring and the true kindness that you and your body truly be, that goes so far beyond this reality and so far beyond anyone's projections or expectations, to be and include the potency of you, being you in the world. Anything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Go to theclearingstatement.com. There will be a link beneath this video for you to explore more of that. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. And the more we are willing to be the energy we truly be, the out of control gloriousness that we truly be, the more is available to us, the less we give a hoot what anyone thinks of us or try to be so nice to please and placate everybody else, but to be what's required in the world, to stand tall and to choose what is going to create greater today. So one of my favorite clearings, I know I've said it here before, but I absolutely love it. What energy, what space, what consciousness, what choice, what magic, what mystery, what power, what potency, and what possibilities can you and your body be to be so out of control, out of definition, out of limitation, out of form, out of structure, out of significance, out of reference points, out of linearities, and out of concentricities, with total ease, joy, and glory for all eternity. Anything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And I have an entire 100-day playlist that I did with a friend of mine on being out of control. When you are willing to be, it's on my YouTube channel. And there's a link somewhere, wherever you're watching this, there are links to my YouTube channel. And if you look up my playlists, you find Out of Control. And it is such an invitation to be willing to be out of control. That is not to be pulled by anybody else's puppet strings, but be able to choose your life and living, what you know is true for you, what you know is going to create greater, and to have a lot more fun. So that was January 20th, and I look forward to being with y'all tomorrow too. Thank you. And how does it get even better than that? Bye, y'all.